Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was True Red Dragon Emperor Part 5. Chapter 28. Issei was on his chair doing his homework at night. He had his wings and tail relaxing in the air. Dryag was examining his body. Issei would hear his grandpa humming. Dryag spoke, Issei. It seems that you are stronger than my host. Well, tell me about your life to your grandpa. Issei responded as he stopped doing his homework. Well, when I around 4. I spend most of my time with my dad. He trained me every technique to fight including weapons. He was the one I looked up to. We had a strong bond, but my dad died in an accident. Before he died he told to not take off this bracelet and remember I'm a dragon. I see it, he was my descendant too. The bracelet, I was the one who made it. When I fought the White Dragon Emperor my goal was to defend my hatchling. He was a few weeks old. My mate died for giving an egg. My hatchling was my joy. As we battled we went crash to 3 factions. They found out about my hatchling. I immediately sent my hatchling to Earth with my bracelet on. My last moments were all factions were chasing my hatchling. My hope was my hatchling would survive. Ever since I was broken thinking my hatchling died. Now after hundreds of years I see my last descendant alive among the devils. Dryag spoke. Issei nodded and spoke in his head, thank you saving us. If not I wouldn't be here. Dryag asked, okay, tell me about what happened next. Well, after some time I was like 6. I saved a fox girl which she was princess. Long story short, I got married with her and her mother. Then I got 2 succubus, mother and daughter. Lastly a human, my teacher. Dryag started to chuckle and spoke, that my hatchling. You have a harem. Kid, remember to have a lot kids to keep my blood running in them. Issei chuckled also and spoke, yeah. I'll keep that in mind, but their bodies are amazing. Dryag could be flying around in joy that his hatchling was a man such young age. Issei took out a photo and began to look at his harem. Who knew in Celia in front of Esha, Yusaka and Yua. Dryag spoke, you have good taste. Why you don't have a harem here? Well, I don't want to because I want approval from them. You know women are when sharing a guy. Issei responded. Dryag hummed and spoke, I see. To be honest, your wives are much better than the orc club. Tell me, what do you think about your family? Issei responded as got to bed, my mom is paying attention to our family. My stepfather and I are distant. Emilia is like mean sister but have a soft side. Lily is the precious little sister that cares about me. I miss my dad. Bragg spoke, at least be happy for having family. Yeah. Good night, Grandpa. Issei spoke. Good night. Dryag spoke, then cut link with Issei. After a few days Issei chatted with Dryag about dragons. Issei learned his host rival they kept a secret they won't tell about Issei is the Red Dragon Emperor. If the world knew they might want to kill him because he is very powerful. As time passed, when Frances saved Rias from her marriage, Issei would listen to Dryag's stories. He would laugh at Frances still weak. Dryag would agree with Issei. Dryag would give advice to Issei to use his dragon powers. Issei gladly accepted his advice. Issei would train with his powers. As a dragon, Issei was easily mastering his powers. One day Issei was in school, he heard rumors that there a devil with 2 purple horns and had purple claws. That always come out at night and kills all kind of demons. For Issei it was something interesting, he going to look a certain devil since there weren't devils were horns. Rias and Sona Peerage were on the lookout for the devil. After hours passed by when his night Issei was outside of his home. He decided to take a walk to the park. Once Issei got to the park he sat on a bench. He closed his eyes and began meditating. Dryag spoke, son. Peaceful. Yeah, for the moment. I miss my wives. I wonder how they are handling this. The longer I stay here the more I miss their bodies. Issei responded. I see. Can't wait to meet them. Dryag spoke with excitement in his voice. Then Dryag cut off the connection. Issei continued sitting on the bench. Then he felt surge of power approaching. Issei opened his eyes and began to look at the direction where it came from. Issei spoke, demon. Issei, a figure came out which was a woman with purple hair, horns, and claws. For Issei she was beautiful. He was cautious because he don't if she will kill him or not. The woman asked, were you waiting for me? As she put her claws to her lips. Maybe. Issei responded, I see. I would say that you are brave to see me. Most humans will run away. Some faced anguish death for angering me. Tell me, human. What do you want from me? The demon eyes were getting darker, meaning she isn't playing. Issei responded, all I want to know if the rumors are true. The demon began to chuckle and spoke, same answer as always I get. Okay, I give you 2 choices, get away or stay. Issei responded, I rather to know more before you get hunted by devils. The demon eyes widened and get her claws ready to slash him. Her purple dark bat wings came out on her lower back. The demon eyes turns completely dark purple. Issei spoke, wait. Let me explain. I'm trying to warn you. The demon at Issei eyes, but her eyes began to shake in fear. She began to back away from Issei. Issei spoke, why are you leaving? Stay away. The demon spoke in fear. Issei began to approach the demon. The demon to slash in the air. The demon asked, "What you want from me?" Issei was confused why the demon was acting all scared. Asinen continued speaking, "Red Dragon Emperor." Issei stops approaching at the demon and spoke, "Yeah I am, but I'm not here to hurt you. You just pique my interest that all." The demon froze and Issei approached her. She was in range to kill him but didn't move, afraid to be killed in pieces. Issei began to stroke her purple hair back. The demon began to blush that Red Dragon Emperor was showing her affection. Issei asked, "Tell me. Why are you here?" As he continues to stroke her hair. Her face was red and responded, "I wanted to vengeance for my parents. They killed them without mercy in front of my eyes." She started to cry. Then she hugged Issei, letting out her emotions. Issei hugged her, then she felt the warmth he was giving, feeling of comfort. They stood hugging for a while until she broke the hug. She spoke, "Thanks Red Dragon Emperor. I needed someone." Issei spoke, "Call me Issei. Alright, my name's Shu." Then she gave a smile. Issei noted that the demon was in need of comfort. She needed someone to there for her. She has the power to see someone dark secrets. He wondered if Rias would do if she finds out his true identity. Chapter 29. After a few days, Issei was at school as always. He was being watched by Shu. He wondered why Shu was stalking him. The devils didn't know that Shu was close by. Every time when Issei is busy he can sense Shu watching him. When lunch came, Issei was outside sitting under a tree. He heard Shu's voice above him. "Need company?" Shu asked. Issei responded, "Sure." Shu jumped down from the tree, but she was caught by Issei's arms. Shu yelped but the sudden being caught. Then Issei placed her next to him. Shu was madly blushing, which Issei noticed. Shu was like a normal woman without her horns or claws, but she had large bust when Issei took a good at her. Issei told himself to not make any moves on her because he didn't want her to be scared of him. Shu spoke, "It peaceful." "Yeah, but time is running out. Sooner or later I have to reveal himself to the devils." Issei spoke. "Oh. I guess enjoy most of it." Shu spoke. Then Shu was flickering her fingers with a blush on her face. A dragon next to her being calm, she felt like a wing was covering her from dangers. Then Shu took the courage to lay her head on Issei's shoulder. Issei looks at Shu and didn't react. Issei continued to look at the sky. Shu was blushing all the time that she was able to be with a dragon. Usually dragons would have temper if someone is next to them without permission. After lunch, Issei spoke to Shu, "I have to go back to class, be careful." Issei stood up getting ready to leave, but then he was hugged by Shu, pressing her body against him. He felt the squishiness of her cleavage. Issei was in turmoil to either to hug her or not. He decided to hug her gently. Shu felt his hug and she hugged him tighter. Issei's mind was running like crazy. He was missing a warmth of a girl. Issei let go of Shu and he went back to class. Shu was blushing bright red. Then she left before any devils spotted her. During class, Issei was with Motohama and Mitsuda. They were trying to impress him the type of magazine and CD. As always, he was unimpressed by their taste. The girls didn't hate Issei much as Motohama and Mitsuda that always peeping them when undressing. Issei was always on the lookout for the devils that sometimes watch him. While changing classes, Issei was heading to his other class. He crossed path with Aoi. Aoi spoke, "Issei, follow me." "Why?" Issei asked. "Just follow me." Aoi spoke with a harsher tone. Issei followed Aoi outside of the orc club. There was Rias and her peerage, including Francis. Francis had an angry face looking at Issei. He seemed he was beat up. Rias spoke, "Issei. My friend over here said you saw a red gauntlet on his arm and you knock him out. Is it true?" As she was trying to hold back her anger. Issei realized he was cornered. Francis might told his king to do some type of vengeance on him. Issei responded, "Yes I did." "Why?" "Well, you saw the supernatural. I'll tell you something, the supernatural is real. I have a proposal. Join my peerage or won't be wiped your memories. What you saw is not real." Rias spoke. "I rather not, both of them. I would not tell anyone about this." Issei spoke. Rias would sigh since she couldn't force him and spoke, "Alright I guess, but remember, don't not tell anyone about this." As she spoke with authority. "Alright." Issei spoke. Issei pretended to be confused and walked back to class. Luckily for him, they don't know he is a dragon. They would keep eye on him for now on. After school he was walking back home with Emilia, which she was quiet. Emilia spoke. Issei question. "What?" Issei asked. "Why are you lonely?" Emilia asked with a bit of embarrassment. Issei looks at Emilia and responded, "Just my nature." "Oh." Emilia spoke with her head down. Emilia wondered why Issei is always alone since she came to his family. Issei was neutral, that nothing can faze him. He was mysterious in way like no one knows what he does. Issei and Emilia were back home seeing their little sister back home doing her homework. Lily spoke in excitement, "Big brother." She ran up to Issei and hugged him as Issei hugged her back gently. "How was school?" Issei asked with a smile. "Awesome." "Big brother still no girlfriend?" Lily asked. Issei was quiet for a moment and responded, no not yet. Don't worry, I'll find one soon. Amelia was watching the scene how Issei was being nice with Lily. Then a thought ran to her mind. What if she was in a relationship with Issei? Amelia began to blush and she started to think she becoming crazy. Issei had dinner with his family and decided to head out for a walk. He wandered to the park. Luckily for him there weren't devils following him. He was going to meet up with Shu. Chapter 30. Issei was at the park sitting on a bench waiting for someone to come. Then came Shu with her horns and wings out. She had a blush on her face as she was approaching Issei. Issei spoke, "Hey Shu." Hey, Issei." As Shu was started to get nervous. Issei smiled at and patted a seat next to him. Shu blushed and sat next to Issei just a few inches apart. Issei spoke, "Tell me Shu. What's in your mind, I can see it on your face." Shu looks at the ground as she began flickering her fingers. She was nervous how to explain to Issei. Shu began. Issei spoke, "Take your time." Then Shu nodded and she was surprised that a dragon was patient with her. That took her courage to express what's in her mind. Shu began to spoke, I love you." Issei eyes widened a bit and looks at her. Shu thought it angered him as she began wilting away. Issei spoke, "Hey, don't be scared. I'm not mad but bit surprised." Shu was confused and spoke, "Huh? Well, I kinda expected that you'll end up liking me, but never thought this would happen less than a week." Issei explained. Shu was bit embarrassed by expressing her feelings to Issei too early. Issei noticed her expression and spoke with a smile, "Shu, don't be embarrassed by expressing your feelings. I don't know how to respond to your feelings." Shu's eyes were starting to water thinking her falling in love is not a thing. "The reason why I have 5 wives but I don't know if you are okay, a guy is being shared with other girls." Issei explained, trying to calm the situation. Shu's eyes lit up with hope and she spoke, "You have a harem?" Issei responded with a gentle tone, "Yeah. They know each other. I love them and share my love same amount to each one of them." Shu looks at Issei's eyes and smiled and asked, "Do you accept me as part as your harem?" Issei smiled at Shu and began to stroke her purple hair and responded, "Sure, as a second harem. My harem lives far away and I think they don't mind as long you have good intentions. Once you guys meet I'm sure you'll get along with them." Then Issei pulled Shu for a gentle kiss and Shu kissed back. Issei broke the kiss and looks at Shu. Issei spoke, "I love you too. Lemon." Shu hugged Issei tightly and she was glad she was accepted in his harem. Her body started to acting up, she began to rub her hands on Issei's back gently. Issei felt her movements of her hands and he wondered what she is up to. Shu spoke with smile, "Let's go somewhere where we can be alone." Shu dragged Issei's hand to a street. Issei was getting the pieces together until they were in front of a building. It was a love hotel. Issei heard Drake's voice in his head, "Son. You are going to have fun. Good luck." Issei grins and Shu enters the building hiding her demon features. Shu was able to get a room for the night. Shu took Issei to a bedroom. Shu began to kiss Issei passionately. Issei was kissing back with the same passion. Issei started to place his hands on her shoulders. Then Issei pushed Shu onto the bed. He began to kiss her neck down to her upper chest. Then he started to undress Shu until she was just wearing her undergarments. He also took off his clothes leaving his boxer on. Shu was surprised that Issei was being gentle with her, also he has experience. Issei gently rubbed his hands down from her shoulders to her hips while kissing her. Shu let out her demon features except her claws. Issei let out his wings and tail. His eyes were green, looking hungrily at her body. Shu felt like a prey being watched by a predator. Shu spoke nervously, "This is my first time, be gentle." Issei started to remove her undergarments leaving her naked. He began massage her large breasts with his 2 hands. Shu began to moan and spoke, "Ah. I'm being massaged by an emperor." Issei smiled at her compliments and began to suck her breasts each one. Shu grabbed Issei's head and began pull him tighter to her chest while moaning. Then after couple of minutes Shu spoke, "I'm about Otakum." Then Shu let out her love juices to the bed sheets as she hugged Issei's head tighter. After a minute Shu let go of Issei. Issei was giving a good look at her body. Shu was breathing heavily with a smile. Shu spoke, "I never been felt this good. You'll feel better if you allow me." Issei spoke, "I want you to take my virginity." Shu spoke with a blush. Issei took off his boxer revealing his large member. Shu was shocked that Issei was this large. Issei positioned himself at her entrance and spoke, "Ready?" Shu nodded and Issei started to push, breaking the barrier. Shu winces in pain and Issei slows down. Shu would give a nod for Issei to continue. Issei was able to push his length inside of her. Shu felt the pain going away and started to feel the pleasure. Issei began to move slowly and Shu spoke, "Ah, faster." Issei started to pick up the pace and Shu began to moan more and louder. Her large breasts began to bounce with each thrust. Issei started to enjoy himself that he got another girl in his harem. After a few minutes Issei spoke, "I'm close. Should I pull out?" Shu didn't respond but wrapped her legs around Issei, not letting him go. Issei knew the response and he continued thrusting her. Shu was moaning and she felt Issei member pulsing. Then Issei gave a final thirst and hugged Shu body tightly. Shu felt warm liquid flooding inside of her. She felt it filling her up and she gave a loud and long moan as it continued pouring inside her. After 10 seconds Shu was broken, having her tongue out and her lower body shaking a bit. She was in a bliss and she couldn't move. She never thought that the Red Dragon Emperor would be able to break her. Shu started to want more and spoke, "I want you to break me completely, my mind." "How broken?" Issei asked, teasing. "Like your harem." Shu responded. Issei grins at her and made her on her knees as he stood up. Shu saw what was in front of her, which was Issei's member erected. Issei spoke, "Do you wish to continue?" Shu nodded and began to place her mouth on Issei's member. Slowly she began to pick up the pace. Issei spoke, "You have a good mouth. Let's use your horns for a good use." Then Issei grabbed Shu's horns and began to use them to pull her deeper. Shu began to gag but continued sucking his member. She felt precum started to come out and started to fall in her large breasts. After a few minutes Shu was gagging a lot with each blowjob. Issei spoke, "Kuming." Then he came inside of Shu's mouth. Shu began to swallow his semen, but it was too much for her, which some fell on her breasts, then her lower body. Then Issei let go of Shu's horns, which Shu pulled out her mouth. Shu coughed a bit and smiled at Issei that her front body was covered in semen. Shu spoke while swallowing the rest of Issei's semen. "Issei, you gave a large load." Issei spoke, "Well, I haven't been with a girl in bed for months." "Ooh oh. How about you come claim your prey?" As Shu spoke seductively. Then Issei made Shu on her fours. Shu began move her ass at Issei. Then Issei gave her a light spank. Shu yelped and grinned. She was giving in Issei antics. Issei inserted his member inside of Shu. Shu gave out a loud moan. Issei began to pound her as her ass was jiggling with each thrust. Issei continues to spank her light, then bit harder. After minutes passed, Shu climaxed a few times while Issei continued pounding her. Her mind was being clouded by sex. Then Issei spoke, "Kuming." "Ah yes. Please." Shu spoke. Then Issei grabs her horns back as he pushed in his member deep inside her while pouring out his semen. Shu gave one long and loud moan. Shu spoke, "Aya." After 10 seconds Shu fell to the bed. Her body couldn't move and she couldn't think straight. Shu spoke, more." Then Issei pulled Shu on a sitting position. He grabbed Shu's large ass and began to move up and down. Shu had her head on Issei's shoulder while hugging. She continues to moan several times. After a few minutes Issei came inside of her, which caused Shu's body to lean backwards as she was sticking out her tongue in bliss. Issei continued to try out different positions. The room was filled with smell of sex. Shu was in cloud 9. She didn't care being pounded, though her mind wasn't conscious around her. After 2 hours Issei was done for the moment but decided to give rest for Shu. He took a good at her and saw her completely broken. Her body was shaking and her eyes were filled with pleasure. She was rambling about how good it felt. Her body was covered in semen from her hair to her feet. Issei dressed himself and kissed Shu. Issei spoke, "Alright, rest my Shu. Next time you'll be broken again." Shu could only ramble with a smile, Issei left the hotel and headed home. End of Lemon. Issei walked back home after he conquered another girl. But since that night something will go south. Chapter 31. A teenager girl was walking searching for someone. She had long blonde hair with black eyes. She was Amelia and she looking for Issei. The reason why she wondered why Issei always leaves the house. At first she was able to follow him for a while, then lost him. Now she was lost looking for Issei. She too began to wander around in hope finding Issei. She was scared being alone in the dark, especially on a street. She would always look around if anyone was stalking. She felt like crying. She needed someone to be with her. As she was walking she heard a man's voice spoke behind. "Why are you here alone?" A man that looks as in his 30s. Amelia responded, "I'm looking for my brother." Amelia was scared talking to the man. He had bad boy side and had intimidated aura. She began to walk away, but the man spoke. "Hey, don't go. I'll walk you. To protect you from other men." The man spoke. Amelia stops and turns to the man and spoke, "Thanks." The man approached her and started walking. The two continued walking for a while in silence. Amelia's mind was screaming to her to get away from the man. Amelia doesn't know where she was. Amelia asked, "How come you are out here?" "Well, it happened to I couldn't sleep so I decided to take a walk." "Tell me about your brother looks like." The man spoke. "Well, is tall with brown hair and brown eyes. He has his hair in a ponytail." Amelia responded. "Oh, I see. I think I seen him earlier." Man spoke. Amelia spoke with hope, "Really? Can take me to him?" The man responded with a smile, "Sure. It'll take couple minutes to get there." Amelia let a small smile, but her smile faded. She began to follow the man as the man was guiding through the streets. The more she walked with him she can tell the streets are becoming more dim and scarier. The man spoke, "Strange." "What is it?" Amelia asked. The man grabbed Emilia by her neck. He was choking her and Emilia was trying free from his grasp. The man spoke, "It was easy to get you. I've been watching you but your brother was the problem. Now we are alone we can have fun." Emilia desperately trying to get free but the man was too strong for her. She decided to bite his hand which the man let go in pain. Emilia started running while trying to recover her breath. She heard man spoke in anger, "Bitch. You'll pay this." Emilia was running as fast she could and she ran couple of streets. Then she heard a wind swoop behind her. Then she was knocked to the ground. She saw the same man with two black feathered wings. He flew back in front of her. She saw the man had an evil smile. She was scared to death. The man started to approach Emilia. Emilia tried to get away but was stuck the ground. The man spoke, "I'm a fallen angel. The reason you can't move because I used magic on you. Now where we left off." Emilia was trying to move but she couldn't get away. Emilia yelled, "Get away. You asshole. White bitch." Then the fallen punched Emilia in the face. Emilia's nose was bleeding and was in tears. The fallen spoke, "You'll pay for hurting me. I'll take away your virginity without mercy and I'll leave you broken forever." The fallen took out a knife began to cut Emilia's clothes slowly. Emilia was in tears pleading for him to stop. Then the fallen was left looking at Emilia undergarments. The fallen spoke, "For the next part," he said with an evil smile. Emilia saw how the knife cut away her bra. She really wanted to be a dream but was real. Her large breasts were revealing to the predator. She yelled, "Please no." The fallen spoke, "Yeah, keep screaming, no one will save you because I placed a barrier that no humans can hear. Now the last piece." Then he placed a knife under her underwear. Then Emilia screamed in tears, "Someone save me." Issei was heading back home then he heard someone screaming. Issei started to run to the sound it came from. As closer he gets the more familiar the voice. Then he got a corner of street and saw a fallen angel on top of girl naked except her underwear. He recognized the girl, it was his stepsister. She yelled, "Someone save me." Issei was furious with the fallen that going to hurt his stepsister. Enraged he charged at the fallen threw a punch at him sending flying back. Emilia saw what happened she saw Issei with green eyes and anger on his face. The fallen got up and spoke, "You will pay. I'll kill you slowly and watch while I take your sister virginity." Issei let out his aura flare a little since his aura was hidden. The fallen charged Issei, but Issei grabbed the fallen and punched him several times. The fallen was surprised that a human was able to knock him back. He created a light spear and charged at Issei. Issei let out his wings and tail. The fallen tried to stab Issei, but Issei stopped him by grabbing his arm. Issei spoke, "No one hurts my sister." The fallen looks at Issei and was scared shitless. He was facing a dragon and more it was color red. The next moment Emilia saw Issei's fingers turned into claws and stabbed the fallen through his body. Then Issei cut away the fallen wings. The fallen was laying on ground with blood everywhere. The fallen wished to never meet her brother. Issei turns to Emilia and saw her scared and she was traumatized. Issei approached his stepsister and took off his shirt and dressed his stepsister. He picked her up in a bridal style and he was taking her back home. Emilia looks at Issei with fear and she saw his eyes were green. His wings and tail out they were of a dragon. Issei spoke gently, "Don't worry, you're safe with me. No one will hurt you." Emilia sensed his warmth and comfort. She too started to crying in Issei's bare chest. Once they reached home Issei took her to her room. Issei hid away his dragon side once entering her room. He gently placed Emilia to the bed and covered her with her blankets. As Issei was about to leave Emilia grabs his hand. Emilia spoke in tears, "Please don't go." Emilia pulled Issei to the bed under the blankets. Emilia hugged Issei tightly which Issei felt her soft and large breasts as she had the shirt off. Emilia spoke, "Thank you." Issei hugged his stepsister feeling more of her breasts, but he was there to comfort her. Issei whispered gently, "You're my family." Emilia's legs wrapped around Issei's legs. Issei knew that Emilia needing comfort of body contact. After an hour Emilia was asleep hugging Issei's body. Issei was wide awake watching her sleep peacefully. Then something came to his mind he has to explain to Emilia what she saw next morning. Chapter 32. The next morning two people were asleep on a bed. Issei was the first to wake up he saw Emilia sleeping with him. He wondered why he was sleeping with her, then he remembered what happened last night. He saved her from the fallen. He was going to explain once she wake up. Issei noticed her large breasts were pressing his chest. He could the warmth of her breasts pressing on him, but he stopped his thoughts as Emilia was waking up. Emilia opened her eyes and saw Issei looking at her. She was shocked, but she remembered what happened. She had blush on her face. Issei spoke with a smile, "Morning." "Morning." Emilia spoke. For a moment they were holding each other like lovers, but the next moment Issei got up and went to his room. Emilia was confused for a moment, then realized what just happened. Emilia went under her blankets embarrassed. She was holding him with her breasts pressing on him. Then remembered once again what happened the night. She began to dress up with a blush on her face. Issei was in his room looking at himself at the mirror. Issei spoke, she saw my dragon form. Not exactly but part of it. Dryag spoke. What do you mean? Issei asked. Dryag responded, well my bracelet is holding back your full transformation and aura. If you take it out it will unleash unimaginable power. I don't want to break the promise of my dad for more power. Issei spoke. Dryag spoke, very well. Last night you had your fun with a demon. Issei smiled and spoke, yeah it's been for a while since I've been with a girl. Ha. You destroyed her completely and she'll want more of you. Dryag spoke with a chuckle. Issei walked out of his room and saw Amelia in front of him. They were silent not knowing what to say each other. Issei decided to speak, are you okay? Amelia's face turns red and responded, yeah. Thank you for saving me. Issei was troubled to speak because he nervous around Amelia that she might think he is a monster. Issei spoke, we are family. I'm glad you're safe. Amelia and Issei went to the dining table whereas the rest of family was. They had breakfast in silence. Issei's mother noticed the change of Amelia's expression. She was trying to find out why as she narrowed her eyes, she find out why. She noticed that Amelia was looking at Issei with a red face. Issei's mother could chuckle to herself. She started to think Issei might get a girl. After having breakfast Issei was ready to go out as the weekend started. As Issei was heading out of the door but was pulled by Amelia. Issei spoke, what? Can I go out with you? Amelia spoke with a shy tone. Issei nodded and Amelia smiled. Amelia put her shoes on and walked out with Issei. They were walking around looking at shops. After 2 hours Amelia decided to speak, Issei what are you? Issei was stiffed by Amelia's question but decided to be honest and spoke, what you saw is the supernatural. I'm a red dragon emperor. Amelia was shocked to hear her stepbrother was a supernatural being, also he was dragon. Many thoughts were running in her head. Issei continued speaking, the reason why is because my dad was also a dragon. I never knew my true identity until I met my ancestor. You may think I'm a monster among humans, but I still consider you as my family. Amelia shook her and spoke, no Issei you not a monster. You saved me from an unimaginable fate. The reason why I was outside because I searching for you why you always are out. Issei noticed her reason why she out at night. Well the reason for that let's say I out on a hotel. Issei responded sheepishly. Amelia looks at Issei shocked and asked, so why you were out at our old home? Issei took Amelia to a bench area and sat down. Issei responded, when I was like 6 I was dating 2 girls. After 1 year I got married at 7 ever since I out to meet them. As time passed I got more wives counting 5 in total. Amelia was shocked that Issei already did the deed and has 5 wives. Then she started to think that Issei has harem. Amelia was about to speak and heard unfamiliar voice, hey Issei. Amelia looks around and saw a woman with purple eyes and hair with large bust. Issei spoke, hey Shu. How are you feeling? The best night of my life. I want to get more of you. Shu spoke seductively. Amelia asked, Issei who is this? With a hint of jealousy. Well this Shu my girlfriend. Shu my stepsister Amelia. Issei spoke. Shu looks at Amelia and Issei sensed there is rivalry between them. Issei spoke, Amelia knows about the supernatural. Shu nodded and spoke, Amelia if you ever want him just ask him. Then Shu approached Issei and sat on his lap. Issei wrapped his arms around Shu's waist. Amelia had pouting face. Shu would giggle that Amelia is jealous of her. They talked for a while until it was midday. Issei took them out to eat. Issei would be sitting in the middle as the 2 girls sat next to him. Amelia talked with Issei and the more she talked with him. She finds his personality attractive. At the end of the day they were walking around town. Issei had his arm around Shu's hips. Amelia was very close with Issei's body. After a couple of minutes Shu spoke, time to go Issei. I'll see you tomorrow. Issei looks at Shu and pulled her for a kiss in front of Amelia. Shu kissed back, then revealed her demon features and flew away in the dark. Amelia was shocked that demons can be among them. Issei assured Amelia that she is friendly. Both of them returned back home. Amelia felt her legs tired of so much walking and sat on a couch. Issei sat next to her to keep her company. Amelia spoke, that was fun. Yeah it was. Issei spoke with a smile. I have something to tell you. As Amelia spoke with a blush. Issei asked with curiosity, what is it? That I love you. Amelia responded with a big blush. Issei was shocked that after the day Shu confessed to him and now his stepsister confessed to him. Note. They are not blood related. Issei could hear Dryag laughing in background. Dryag spoke to Issei, why not Issei? The more the merrier. Issei spoke to Amelia, how should I put this? Are you sure that you want to be with a guy that gets shared by girls? I don't mind as long you give me the same love as others. Amelia responded with a blush. Then Amelia pulled Issei for a gentle kiss. Issei kissed her back never in his life would have a relationship with his stepsister, not blood related. His eyes opened on her beauty. He wondered how he missed this kind of girl. She has a busty figure that were bit larger than a keno. He could hear Dryag crying that he was happy that his descendant was getting any girls. Issei and Amelia went to their own rooms to sleep. Amelia was jumping in joy that she fell in love with the boy she hated. Issei was still in shock and thought what his wives would think. Chapter 33. After a few days Issei and Amelia were under a tree during lunch break. Issei had his arms around Amelia's hips. Amelia was sitting on his lap with a blush on her face. Amelia spoke, "Tell me about your bloodline." "Well, my ancestor name is Dryag. He was the first red dragon emperor. He used to have mate, but she died for laying an egg. So Dryag protected the egg until it hatched. Then Albion the white dragon emperor came around and tried to kill the hatchling, but Dryag intervened to protect its hatchling. Their battle caused a supernatural to look at them. Dryag was close to win, but was killed by the leaders of devils, fallen, and angels. His last moments he sent away his hatchling to human world but was chased by the supernatural. He sealed in a sacred gear and mourned for his hatchling. He wanted vengeance from Albion. Ever since they battle ever since. Has hundreds passed I was born. I'm still young not wanting to reveal my real identity to the supernatural, afraid they would hunt me down and hurt my loved ones. Amelia spoke, "Hey, you should be proud of who you are." "Yeah, I should." Issei spoke. Then Issei pulled Amelia for a kiss which she kissed back. They were looking at each other's eyes until they heard a voice. "Hey, don't leave Issei to yourself." Shu spoke. Issei turns his head around and spoke, "Hey Shu. Make some room Amelia." Shu spoke as she went to sit on Issei's lap. Issei hugged Shu and two girls on him. He really enjoyed having a harem. Then in the distance he saw two girls walking to Orc Club. One had orange hair and head and twin tails. The other had short blue hair with a green streak on her front hair. Issei noticed the clothes that the girls were wearing. Issei spoke in a low tone, "Excorists." Shu was staring at them with cautious. Amelia was all confused why the two were cautious. Issei wondered how the devils would react to this. Then Issei heard Drake's voice, "The Excorists are here to talk with Rias about okay they want no devils interfering in their plans, since they are looking for the 4 holy swords that was been stolen." Issei spoke in his mind, "At least we are not part of it. For you. I'm dead you remember." Dryag spoke. "Yeah, Grandpa." Issei spoke. "Just imagine you get another girl was from the church." Dryag spoke making a joke. Issei spoke, "Maybe it possible not now unless the chance show off." "Well right now Francis showing his ego to the exorcists he can beat them. They are duel in a minute." Dryag spoke. Issei spoke, "I need to see this." Issei moved his girlfriends and spoke, "Stay here. I'll be back." Issei went behind the old building and saw the duel is about to start. Issei saw the exorcists and had quite a figure, but not as good as his wives and girlfriends. He noticed that Francis was being cheered by the girls. Issei thought maybe now he has a harem. The duel started with Kiba and the blue-haired. Francis and orange-hair girl. As he watched he saw Kiba get defeated as Francis was able to keep for a while, but was defeated since a 2 versus 1. Issei could only chuckle but caught the attention of the group. Aoi had anger on her face. As Rias was surprised that Issei came here to watch a duel. The exorcists were in battle position. Issei decided to approach them. Issei spoke, "Hey guys. Francis, Rias, Akeno, Asia, Kiba, Kaneko and Aoi." Aoi spoke, "What do you want?" "Came here to confess." Issei responded, "No, I came to see the duel." The blue-haired girl spoke, "What faction are you?" "I'm no faction. Just human." Issei responded. The orange-haired girl spoke, "He could be the Excorist that betrayed God." Before Issei could explain the blue-haired charged at him with her giant swords. Issei moved to the side with ease. He noticed the orange hair was behind. She had a katana on her hand to strike Issei. Issei bent his back backwards and sent his arm hitting her stomach, causing her to roll to the ground. The blue-haired girl tried to stab Issei. Issei simply grabbed her blade with his 2 fingers stopping it. The group was in shock that Issei was able to grab the sword just his fingers. Issei realized why the group was shocked. Issei spoke, "I've been training with weapons." The 2 girls get on their feet for their final assault. They both jumped on jump with their weapons on the air. Issei simply punched them in the stomach, sending them rolling on the ground in bed. Issei spoke, "I'm not from a church but a normal human. I just came by to see the match." But that Issei left the 2 girls on the ground. Blue-hair girl spoke, "Is he much stronger than the Red Dragon Emperor? Is your servant is weaker than a human?" Rias was getting offended that her pawn was being insulted by being weaker than a human. She wanted to destroy them but kept her composure. Aoi was shocked to see Issei easily defeat the exorcist, but her boyfriend couldn't. Aoi wondered what made Issei strong. She also noticed that Issei was unfazed by the attack like it was child play. Issei returned back to the tree where Amelia and Shu were waiting for him. Shu asked, "What happened?" "Just a duel happened. It was boring. So I came. Now it's time to get class." Issei spoke. Shu left the school and Amelia and Issei went back to their classroom. Issei time is running out he would battle to protect his home. He might find a girl in his harem. Chapter 34. Later in the day, which was afternoon. Emilia and Issei were walking together. Issei had his hand around her hips. Emilia had her head resting on Issei's shoulder. Issei sensed there are people of supernatural were around. He sensed something big is going to happen at some point. Emilia and Issei were back home. They went on as normal, but they kept their relationship secret. Lily was watching them carefully how they interact. She sensed that her big brother and stepsister are getting along but a bit too much. Lily enjoyed to figure out why. Issei noticed his sister watching them, which he slowed down his moves with Emilia. Rias spoke in Issei's mind, it seems your sister watching you too. Yeah, I notice it. Kids are very keen on things. Issei spoke. After having dinner, Issei and Emilia were sitting on the couch. As Issei's stepfather was sitting across from them. His stepfather rarely talked with Issei that he see him as a stranger. When night came, Issei went to his bedroom to sleep. He sensed something was happening right now. He sensed powers were growing in a certain place, then it dies off. Lemon. Before he could drift off to sleep, he heard his door and window opened. Felt two bodies crawling into his bed until he turns on the lights. He was shocked to see Emilia and Shu were climbing to his bed. Emilia was wearing lacy undergarments as it was the same with Shu. He felt his nose to bleed but hold himself back. Emilia spoke, what are you doing here, Shu? Shu responded, I'm here for Issei and you. Emilia blushes and looks at Issei, and Issei was simply staring at them. Issei spoke, explain girls. Emilia spoke shyly, I came here for. Then Shu interrupts her, I'm here to have sex with Issei. Then Emilia exclaimed, me too. Issei looks at Emilia in shock. He hears Dryag laughing. Issei spoke, are you really sure want to have sex with me? Emilia blushes harder and responded, why yeah. Then Emilia get on the bed and gets top of Issei. She looks at Issei's eyes and gave a passionate kiss as Shu had a pout face. Issei wrapped his arms around Emilia's waist. He felt her soft skin around her back. Then Shu spoke as she got on the bed, let's take off your clothes. Then Emilia stops kissing Emilia and Shu began to strip Issei's clothes, leaving him with his boxer. Emilia and Shu began to drool of Issei's chiseled body. Then Issei pulled them for a kiss, each one of them. He felt their large breasts pressing on him, the only thing is blocking him was their bras. Issei unclipped their bras, showing off their large breasts. Emilia was nervous when showing off her body. Shu spoke, Emilia don't be nervous. Then Emilia gained more confidence, then took Issei and placed on her breast. Issei was smiling that he was able to feel their breasts. He began to squeeze them Emilia and Shu breasts. They began to moan in pleasure. Issei began to enjoy the large size and softness of their breasts. Emilia spoke, you are good at this ah. Issei spoke, yeah, I've been doing for years. You really like busty ah girls. Shu spoke. Issei grins at them, then flipped them to the bed. Emilia and Shu yelp in surprise. Issei began to take off their panties. Issei started to feel their soft skin with hands tracing down to their hips. Issei began to kiss their bodies like if worshipping them. Emilia and Shu were moaning by the kisses. After a few minutes, Issei took off his boxer. Shu was blushing and as Emilia was drooling. Emilia spread her legs open and spoke, please take my virginity. Issei positioned himself on Emilia. Then he slowly began to enter. Emilia held her tears back, but then she felt pleasure. Emilia spoke, ah yes. It started to feel good ah. Issei slowly began to move inside her. Emilia began to moan as her large breasts began to bounce with every thrust. Shu approached Issei and began to kiss him passionately. After 10 minutes, Issei spoke, I'm about to come. Please fill me up ah. Emilia spoke. After a few more thrusts, Issei pushed in deep inside of Emilia. Emilia felt Issei's warm semen pouring inside of her. Her mind was getting broken with every spurt of Issei's semen. Then Emilia, her eyes rolled up and her tongue sticking in pleasure. Issei thought himself he broke her mind. Shu was getting impatient and she laid on her stomach. Shu spoke, don't forget this hole too. Issei pulls out of Emilia and got on top of Shu. He immediately thrusts in. Shu moaned loudly but had her face on the pillow. He began to pound her forcefully. Shu was enjoying the sensation being pounded by behind. After a few minutes, Issei was getting ready for another load. Shu felt his member pulsing and she was waiting for it. Then Issei came inside, filling her up. Shu mind broken as soon she felt Issei's semen filled her up. Then Issei felt a hand around his shoulder. It was Emilia with hard eyes. Emilia spoke seductively, let me clean you up. Issei pulls out of Shu and turns to Emilia. Emilia made him lie down and began to suck his member. The more she sucked, the more deeper she went, to the point she started to gag. Issei decided to push her head down so she can go deeper. Emilia was gagging but enjoyed being roughed. Then Issei came in her mouth and Emilia was surprised by the amount of semen. Emilia was swallowing Issei's seed but too much, her some started to spill out. Then Shu came to help Emilia. Shu placed her mouth in Issei's member, began cleaning him. As Emilia was savoring Issei's semen. After they were done, Issei wasn't done. He flipped the girls on their stomach. Issei positioned himself on top them. He began to pound them as their skins began to make clapping sounds. Emilia and Shu were moaning loudly to the pillows. Emilia's mind was broken far from repair. She wanted more of issei and Shu was the same. Rounds after rounds Emilia and Shu were moaning, though their mind aren't aware what going on. They were going for 4 hours until issei decided to give them rest. He saw how they were broken. He hugged them as he felt their large breasts on him. He smiled that he 2 girls are with him. He wondered what would be with his harem. End of lemon. The next day it was the school was off. Issei would leave the house to take a walk nearby woods. He thinking what was magic spiral was. Chapter 35. Issei was walking on a trail in the woods. As he was walking he sensed magic brewing in the woods. He wanted to check it. He went to an area and saw a woman with white-like hair with white armor and like a halo on her head. She was a man with man that had excursed clothes. As he watched he noticed that the man was a maniac. The woman was trying to stop him with her sword. The woman spoke, "Freed. You are going to pay for killing the innocents." So-called Freed spoke with a laughter, "Haha. I'm doing the justice the way of God." Issei noticed the woman was getting tired as Freed was gaining the advantage of the fight. Freed spoke, "After I win I'm going to cut your clothes and you'll feel the disgrace." Then Freed made a hard swing at her. The woman barely blocked it with her sword. Then Freed threw a punch to her head, causing her to fall to the ground. Freed spoke, "I'm so good at this no one can beat me." Haha. Issei decided to step in to stop the fight. Then Freed saw him and spoke, "Look who came, a human to save someone from the church." Issei spoke, "Human. So are you. You and I aren't different." The woman spoke, "Get out of here. He'll kill you." Freed started to laugh and spoke, "You hear that, human? She telling you to run away. You have 5 seconds to leave before I hunt you down." Issei spoke, "Why should I? You said no one can't beat you. I'll fight you bare hand, let's see much I'm going to hurt your pride." Freed raised his sword and spoke, 1, 2, 3 go. Freed charged at Issei with laughter, but Issei moved to the side. Freed spoke started to get angry, "Stop moving. Let me kill you." "Oh, am I hurting your pride?" Issei taunted. "Shut up, asshole." Freed yelled. Issei continues to dodge with ease. Every once in a while he would slap Freed on his face. Freed was being humiliated by a so-called human. Then Issei grabbed Freed's sword and crushed into pieces. Plus, Freed spoke, "My sword. You'll pay." Freed charged at Issei with a knife. Issei simply grabbed his hands. Issei spoke with a smirk, hope and joy flying. Issei made 360 spin and threw Freed flew to the air. He heard Freed screaming in the air but was caught by someone. Issei wasn't able to see who was it, but he knew it was fallen angel. Issei turns to the woman which the woman in shock seeing him without a scratch. Also he knew about the supernatural. The woman spoke trying to get up, "Why you risk your life?" Then approached her and responded, "Why not? I'm anxious for a fight." She continued try to stand up, but her legs failed. Issei approached her closely and carried her in bridal style. The woman began to blush being carried by a guy. Issei spoke, "Let go to my home to rest." She wanted to protest, but her mind was different. There was something in him that he would protect her. Issei took her back to his home. His family was out except Emilia. Emilia spoke, "Who is this?" Issei responded, "Well, it seems she was from a church to stop excommunicated excurist. He was manic, but I step in." The woman spoke, "My name is Shuri." Issei nodded and went to the kitchen and came back with a glass of water. Issei spoke, "You need some rest." Shuri nodded and drank the water. Shuri began to speak about the 4 holy swords were stolen. She was trying to recover them even it means die trying. Issei was angered that the church was sending someone a suicide mission. Then he remembered the 2 exorcists that came. Shuri spoke, "Oh yeah. How come you know of the supernatural?" Issei responded, "My stepsister knows also we learned by accident." "Oh come you can you beat Freed by crushing his sword?" Shuri asked with curiosity. Issei trying to make a response, "Oh well. Let's say I'm a superhuman." Shuri seems to not believe him but decided to. She wondered how it was possible for a human to crush a sword with ease. As hours passed by Shu came in. When Shuri detected her presence she got her sword ready to attack. Issei spoke, "Wait. Shuri don't hurt her. She is my girlfriend." Shuri looks at Issei and Shu. Shuri decided to listen to Issei after he saved her. Shu spoke, "Hey Issei-hun." Issei spoke, "Hey Shu. Back for more?" Shu began to blush and as Emilia came behind Issei. Issei simply grins that they were wanting him. As Shuri was all confused about Issei is talking about. Then the 2 girls dragged Issei to his bedroom to have their fun as Shuri was in process of thinking, then a thought came to her head. Issei have a harem of his own and his stepsister. Shuri just sat on couch while resting in shock. Several hours passed it was dark. Shuri was sitting alone on the couch. As she looked around she noticed that a family photo on the wall. In the picture she noticed the younger Issei behind him a small dint of red. As in middle of her thoughts she felt magic brewing in town. She decided to leave to find it out. As Issei was in bed but felt a magic in town and won't let him rest. Issei gets out of bed agitated and decided to go to see. After a few minutes Issei reached Takayo Academy. He saw a fallen with 10 wings in his back fighting the peerage of Rias while Sona had a barrier on. Issei was angered that they won't let him. He decided to confront them. He entered the barrier like nothing and everyone saw him including the fallen. Rias yelled, "What are you doing here? It's too dangerous." The fallen began to laugh and spoke, "Haha. A human came in. Either way he is going to die." The fallen made a light spear and threw at Issei. Issei easily moved out of the way. Issei spoke in anger, "Won't you fight somewhere? I was about to sleep." "Oh, I'm so scared. What are you do about it?" "My name is Kabale," the fallen taunted. Issei looks at fallen with anger. Issei approached Kaneko. Kaneko looks at Issei and Issei spoke, "Launch me at that bastard." Kaneko was hesitant but Issei wasn't going to step down. Kaneko took Issei and launched him towards the fallen. The fallen grins, "That human won't do shit." Issei raised his fist and threw a punch at the fallen. And everyone surprised the fallen crashed down to his throne falling to the ground. Issei was on the ground furious. Kabale spoke, "You'll pay." Issei rushed at him. The fallen covered himself with his wings. Issei got behind him and began to pull one of his wings. Kabale was in pain, never thought a human can hurt him. Kabale decided to fight back. Issei was relentless, he won't let him go and fly in air. Everyone was in shock that Issei was able to pin a high-ranking fallen. As Francis was watching in a distance bit injured. He felt envious of Issei. Him a red dragon emperor was being shown as weaker than a human. Issei would punch at the fallen in several places. Kabale was trying to fly in the air, but Issei would always drag him down. Kabale was able to get in the air and made a large light spear that can destroy the whole town. Issei would not let it slide for sake of his family. Kabale laughed and spoke, "Haha. Hope and joy in the afterlife." Kabale threw the spear at Issei, but Issei's eyes turned green for a split second. Issei was able to grab the light spear and sent back to the center. Kabale was in shock but struck by his own spear, leaving him stunned. Issei noticed that Shuri was on the ground injured but saw Fried standing with evil smile. Issei charged at him, but Fried swung his sword at him, but Issei was to dodge away. Issei was able to grab Fried and took away his sword and broke it. Issei twisted Fried's neck, killing him. Then he turned his attention to Kabale was regaining his awareness, but then a white streak came down dragging the fallen to the ground. Once cleared it was white armor like Dryag, Issei immediately knew who it was. It was the White Dragon Emperor. Francis was in shock that White Dragon Emperor was in front him. Dryag spoke with venom, "Albion." The armor spoke named Albion, "Dryag still mourning for your hatchling." Everyone was in shock that the rumor was true. Dryag had a hatchling. Dryag scoffed and responded, "Not anymore. I found out one, my descendant is alive. My descendant, the Red Dragon Emperor." As he spoke with pride. Everyone in present was in more shock, especially Albion. Albion host spoke, "My name is Vali. I see Francis is the current host of Dryag. Now his descendant is alive, is hard who to fight." Issei watched as he wanted vengeance for his ancestor death but hold himself back to not reveal himself. Albion spoke, "Well, when I find your descendant I'll kill it." "Well, try. You can't because my descendant is aware of you. Ever since he ready to face you and your host." Dryag spoke. Vali spoke, "I'm out for now. Francis gets stronger or Dryag descendant will claim the title." Vali took unconscious Kabale as everyone was standing in shock. Issei had no reaction. Rias spoke, "Dryag has a descendant alive." Aoi saw Issei and she was surprised he was able to toe-to-toe with Kabale. Issei approached Shuri and picked her up. Aoi spoke, "Issei, what are you? More than you think." "Aoi." Issei spoke with a cold tone. Issei took Shuri back home. Shuri was in surprise that Issei was more than a human. Issei returned back home and began to care of Shuri. Issei now has more things to worry about himself. He hoped one day he can return back home with his wives. Chapter 36. After months passed starting a new year at school. Issei was 18, his harem grew. Shuri became one of his and he had another girl which her name was Timid. Timid was one of Dragon Kings. Timid hated Dryag, but when she met Issei she submitted herself to him in a fight when he was going to defend his ancestor. 2. He was trying his best not to be part of the three factions, but every time there would be a point that he had to defend his family. He showed that he had power of Dryag but always say it just a replica. The higher-ups were cautious of him. His powers were pure. Issei knew he has to reveal to the world what he is. The supernatural knew about his harem but didn't know about his wives. Francis was jealous of him because he always get the most busty girls. Issei proved himself he was stronger than everyone else. He defeated Cerzurx and the Moes in a duel. He was earned a nickname Nemesis. 2. No one wanted to challenge him. They tried to get one of the factions, but he always refuses. Dryag and Issei spent time talking about his reclaiming his title. Dryag spoke as Issei was at home with girls on him sleeping, "Son. Time is coming to claim who you are. I know grandpa, but I don't want to the reason why the stake of the safety of my family. Issei spoke. I know, but the faction's leaders were cautious of your power. Some are saying that you could be descendant of me. Dryag spoke. Issei began to gently rub his girlfriend's back. As he felt their large soft breasts pressing on him. Issei spoke, yeah. Francis has started to be hostile with me because I'm better than him. True, he thinks you are stealing all the glory. Which it should be my descendant must be recognized as the new Red Dragon Emperor. Dryag spoke with pride. Issei could only sigh which he looks at his wings. He was thinking should he claim the title. Once he did he would going to have enemies. During his thoughts he felt movements on top him. It was Timid who woke up. Timid spoke, my emperor. You seem shook. Issei spoke, well my ancestor wants me to claim the title. After months showing I defeat Francis' enemies which I took glory. That what an emperor does. Make your enemies fear you and your allies more. That what dragons does. Timid spoke. Issei wasn't sure if he want to embrace his dragon greed. He wasn't going to lie he liked getting glory, but if it is okay to be greedy. Then Issei felt more body movements. It was Emilia, Shu, and Shuri waking up. Emilia was just recently was made into a dragon. Issei made her dragon when the time he claims the title everyone would fear them. Emilia spoke, Issei still dark. Can't sleep. As she pressed her breasts on Issei's chest. Issei responded, no I can't so much things running in my head. Shu spoke, we can help you think only one thing. Lemon, Shuri began to kiss Issei. As the girls began to kiss his body. Issei wrapped his arms around feeling their smooth skin. The girls began to kiss Issei's neck, leaving with marks. They began to battle who should be with Issei. They pressing their large breasts on him. Emilia spoke, whose are better? Issei responded, all of you all. They are smooth, soft and especially large. The girls giggled that Issei enjoyed large breasts. They began to move their breasts on Issei's face. He began squeezing them giving the same treatment. Issei asked Dryag, did Francis lost his virginity? No he did not. He always getting teased by his harem. He doesn't make a move on them. Dryag responded. I'm really bested him. By now he could feel the anxiety that I'm having fun with my harem. Issei responded with a grin. Alright have fun child. I'm going to sleep. Make sure to have kids soon. Dryag spoke. Issei began to suck on their breasts while massaging them. The girls began moan in pleasure. They wanted to satisfy their emperor. As Francis was in his bed awake then he felt shivers on his back. Francis spoke, it feels like Issei is having right now. Then he curled in his bed feeling envious of Issei. After Issei was done sucking their breasts. He made them lie on the bed on their stomach. Issei positioned himself. Shu spoke, please break us even we aren't aware. Issei spoke, alright girls. He began to insert in Shu first and began to pound her. With each thrust Issei felt her large ass jiggle. After minutes passed he came inside her. Then he went on Emilia, Shuri then Timid. Every once in a while Issei would slap their large ass. They moan in pleasure. They gave him tit job and blowjob. Issei wouldn't get enough of it. It was 4 in the morning Issei continued to have sex. Issei would take a girl in sitting position and made her bounce. Emilia spoke, yes. Keep at it using my body. Emilia was bouncing on Issei member. Issei came inside of her then he took Shu next. Timid never thought she was going to be enjoying. Her mind was broken just having sex with Issei. When it was Timid's turn. She felt her body wanting more him. She wanted satisfy Issei with her body. Timid spoke while she was bouncing on Issei member, please Issei use me as you wish Issei continued with Shuri and pound her. Until everyone was completely broken. They couldn't move they were in bliss. Issei was done for the moment and noticed the sun was rising. He looked at the clock it was 6 in the morning. He wondered how the girls were still awake. After a few seconds he noticed his girlfriends were asleep. End of Lemon. The day would be exciting day he was going on a field trip. Chapter 37. During the day Issei was packing his luggage. His harem was coming with him for a reason. He was joining with the devils on a field trip. Emilia spoke as they were heading the train station, Issei you seem excited. Issei responded, yeah. Can't wait. After a few hours they were on a train station. Issei was excited to leave like a child. Which the devils were confused. Mitsuda and Motohama were part of the field trip as with other people. Mitsuda spoke, hey Issei we got map of Kyoto. Showing the map at Issei. Issei snatches the map and began to look at it. Mitsuda and Motohama never seen this side of Issei. As everything was going on normal. Issei just wanted to spread out his dragon side. Emilia and the girls were looking at Issei behavior. Shuri spoke, I guess Issei is excited to see his wives. Yeah. It been a year for him to see them again. Emilia spoke. Issei was trying his best to calm himself down for the moment. He wondered how his wives would react to his return. How they react to his girlfriends. Dryag spoke, I see you are happy to see them. Yeah. I really missed them I guess they heard about me. Issei spoke. Maybe it sounds like Francis is the cover-up. What leader wants a factionless person take glory but their own faction? Dryag spoke. Issei spoke, I don't care glory right now. What it matters the most is reunite with my wives. After hours in the train and the train stopped at the station of Kyoto. As soon the doors opened, Issei ran out of without hesitation. Everyone was in shock that Issei just simply ran out. The devils knew that Issei missed his home but didn't know about his wives. The fallen Azazel was among the group and spoke, alright follow us, don't get separated like that idiot. Everyone followed Azazel to their hotels. As Issei was in the middle of the city. Issei spoke, I'm back. Issei took a deep breath feeling the memories rushing back to him. After 10 minutes Issei decided to head back with the group. Once he returned he got scolded for separating. Issei didn't care, he was wanting to leave. Azazel spoke to the group, alright go out and explore. Don't make trouble. Issei began to walk out with the devils. Seeing the shops and items. Issei began to remember the times he was little. Emilia and the girls were watching his reaction to everything. Dimit spoke, Issei seems to be in rush. He can't to meet the other girls. Shu spoke. As they were walking the 1,000 gates. Their goal was to have a meeting with a yokai leader. Issei sent someone near, he started to chase it and everyone noticed it. One people asked, where are you going? Something important. Issei responded then chased after. After a while of running he reached top on the shrine. Issei noticed no one was on site. Issei spoke, he closed his eyes, I'm back. Then heard a familiar voice, don't you belong here? Issei turns around and was surrounded by soldiers. Then he saw his wives were top of the building. They had their large cleavage showing. The one who spoke was Kunu with hatred. Issei wondered what happened. He saw his wives were angry but didn't saw Yasaka. Issei spoke, sorry where is my mother? Kunu demanded. Issei was perplexed what was going. Issei spoke, it seemed you guys don't. The soldiers started to attack him. Issei dodged and wanting to explain himself. Issei made sure to not hurt his soldiers when attacking. He noticed he was being outnumbered. He didn't want to hurt them. Issei started to run away. Kunu commanded, after him. Issei yelled, let me explain. As he was running. As Issei was running he met at a dead end. He wanted to tell his wives who he is. Then his wives attacked him but was blocked devils. Francis was in the fight and noticed how beautiful were the girls, they were much beautiful than Akeno and Rias. The devils began to attack. Issei yelled, don't hurt them. Issei's wives were in shock, someone was trying to save them from getting hurt. The devils didn't care but attack with deadly force. Issei immediately jumped in between them. He would get in the way of the attack. Francis made sphere of power and threw at Kunu. Issei made himself like a shield to protect Kunu. Kunu was shocked that someone was trying to save her. Then Issei went on to protect his other wives. Celia, Yua and Esha from other attacks. Luckily Issei's girlfriends were here at the moment. Issei took the beatings as long his wives aren't hurt. The power of his wives were very strong. Issei winces in pain each attack. Then Kunu commanded, we are out for now. Bring back my mother. Kunu and the rest got themselves ready to leave. Issei yelled, we ain't done. Issei immediately jumped straight into them before teleporting in the wind. The devils watched in shock that Issei decided to chase them down even though he was being attacked. Francis spoke, damn those women are hotter than Akeno and Rias. Dryag spoke, don't think about. You'll learn why. Francis now wanted the girls but didn't know the truth. Aoi was in disbelief that Issei was after them. Then Issei girlfriends came to the scene. Shu asked, what happened? Reunion. Emilia responded. His girlfriends hope Issei can get along with his wives. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video.